All right, so good evening. It is Tuesday, May 17th, 7:06 p.m. Calling the Baltimore County Democratic State Central Committee meeting to order. We'll turn it over to Linda for roll call. Linda?
She is here.
She was here, yeah.
Hold on, let me make sure she.
Just lost it or something.
Must have lost a connection.
Oh, here she is. She's coming back in.
There you are, Linda. Okay, Linda, it's on you for roll call.
All right, so starting with District 6, Corey Edwards.
Here.
Eric Washington. Eric.
I saw him.
Eric.
Yeah.
No,
He was here.
maybe he did the same thing I did. Crystal Francis here, right? Justin Holiday. Justin? No? Scott Aluka.
Here.
Thank you. Ed Livingston. Ed Livingston? I see him.
Here.
Okay, Lauren Badoff. I
Here.
see her. Yes. Julie Sugar.
Here.
Thank you. Harry Bendari. Harry Bendari, don't see him. Not yet. Elizabeth Brown. Yeah.
Here.
Okay. Arjun Hamal. Arjun, are you here? Don't see him. Okay. Margaret Forte. Margaret. Don't see her. Nina McHugh.
I'm here.
Hi.
Hi.
Danny Blunt. You're here.
Present. Sorry.
Yes. Jay Jalisi. Jay Jalisi. Not here yet. Dolores Kelly.
Here.
Thank you. Pat Kelly. Don't see her yet. Danielle Smith.
Here.
Good. Alejandra Ivanovich. Anyone see Alejandra? No. Linda Dorsey Walker here. John Herbst. John Herbst. No. Vanessa Carrington. Vanessa? No. Tracy Miller.
I'm here.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi.
Robert
I'm
Benjamin.
here.
Bob Benjamin. I see him.
Here.
Tara Eversole. I see you. Okay. And Sam Moxley. Anyone see Sam's name? Don't see him yet. Mark Weaver.
Here.
Thanks, Mark. Jason Garber.
He will be running a few minutes late.
Okay,
I'm here.
Scott Sokol.
And George is here.
Thank you.
Okay. Scott Sokol. Not here. Jeff Bonner. I see you. Katie Dot.
Here, he has a problem with
You.
his audio.
Capsule of
Uh-huh.
that.
Uh-huh. I have Ann
Some
George here.
significant changes. I mean, changing from 20 days to 3 days.
Whoever that is,
Someone's talking about
Is a
20
really
days.
good step in the right direction.
I'm
for-
here.
oh,
Okay.
Can you please mute yourself?
I think it was Mark. It might have been.
Anything that the commission needs to be aware of with these laws, Steve?
Barry Chapman, Bishop Chapman. Bishop? Bishop, you here? Don't see him yet. Aisha Khan? Aisha? Not yet. George White?
He's here.
Present, here.
Yes. And Charles Sidnor? Charles Sidnor, do you see his name? Not yet. Okay, starting with the at-large people, Ruben Amaya. Ruben? No.
Margaret's here. I just
Okay. Nia Duggins.
Good evening, President.
Thank you, Nia. Cheryl Gottlieb.
Here.
Thank you, Cheryl. Ratia Cedar Gray. Ratita? No. Seme Kendra? Seme? No. Tamara Lucas?
Good evening, I'm here.
Thank you. Danita Tolson?
Here,
Good.
present.
Thank you. Mark Brewster? Mark? No. Okay, Joan Mangy? Joan? No. Nina Phillipson?
Here.
Thank you. Charles Smith? Charles Smith? No. Bonnie Smith? Bonnie? No. Gary English? Gary? No. Cornelius Jennings? Neil Jennings? No. David Williams? Dave Williams? No. And Sebastian?
Pat
No.
Kelly's here.
Okay.
And Margaret Forte, please.
All right. I've got you both.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And good evening, by the way.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else that you all saw come in? That's it. Well, we do have a
Paul
quorum
Conca
anyway.
is here. Paul Conca,
Yeah, I have you here.
thank you.
We have a quorum, so.
all righty. So we will move to the financial report with Katie.
Hello. At the last meeting, I gave the March report, but there was an error that's been corrected. I guess we need to vote that in. The error was, let me share my screen and show you.
And can I just say one thing, Katie? I did
Yes.
send out just immediately before this meeting, a corrected set of meeting materials that included a whole bunch of stuff, including your corrected report, my corrected minutes for this meeting. Some people had asked for the bylaws, which I also attached, and some people had asked for an updated directory, which I also attached. So if you go to the most recent thing I sent you, it has like 5 or 6 attachments, and it includes those corrected items.
All right, okay, so I have it on my screen too.
Mhm.
So basically, the treasurer's report that I gave for March, here, I had kept, this was March, so you see my pointer, and I changed to April. That's the only change in it. So are there any questions about the March report, March 2022 report? Okay, so Crystal, do you want to ask that to be accepted into the approved? You're muted.
All right, all those in favor of accepting this revised report for March 22? Okay.
Aye.
I'd like to
Aye.
move that it be accepted.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now. I'm sorry. I have it on, up. There we go. Where is it now? For some reason, it is not letting me share again. It keeps wanting me to give the share options. Crystal, do you have it pulled up?
Mm-mm.
All right, hold on. Let me
Did
just.
did you close all the way out and reshare?
Yes,
you
yeah,
can
stop
close
share.
it out.
Okay, close. Oh, all right. All right, let me, here it is. Okay, this should do it. I'm sorry. Ah, that was easy. Okay, here we go. All right, here's the April 2022 report. We started in our administrative account with a beginning balance of $761.96. Our total expenses were $3 worth of service charges for an ending amount of $758.96. Our legislative account, we began with a beginning balance of $34,423.37. We had no deposits, no income. Our expenses, which included our van access fees of $477, our rent, Comcast, and our van fees for the credit card, plus the Google, were $1,880 for an ending balance of $32,543.32. Our total cash on hand for May 1st was $33,302.28. Our difference between April and May, we had a change of negative $1,883.05. Are there any questions?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Who was that?
Corey
Corey?
Edwards. Yes.
Second, Dolores Kelly.
Senator Kelly?
Yeah.
All those in favor of accepting the April treasurer's report, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say no. All right. Motion carries. Okay, we are going to move right along. Last month, we voted to not have a meeting in July because of the election. So next month we'll be meeting next month. We will have the Attorney General candidates as a guest speaker. They want to come in person, so that meeting will be a hybrid meeting for those who want to come in person. But we'll still, of course, have the Zoom. So George and we'll need to figure out how to get the hybrid going again, just for that meeting.
Crystal?
Will that be on the 21st?
The third Tuesday in June,
Mhm.
Mhm.
which, yes, it's the 21st.
21st, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
All right. All right, so we'll go to the party announcements. You should have received the email regarding the MDP Gala. If you purchased a ticket, that's going to be happening on the 26th. The gubernatorial forum, you should have received an email for that. Please RSVP to that. Tickets are non-transferable. Basically, Central Committee members, the elected delegation, and party VIPs will be there. It will be televised. So if you are able to go to that, please RSVP. There is a requirement for you to select the food option that you want. So be sure to do that if you are planning to attend that. Any questions about those two events? Okay.
Crystal,
Yeah,
today's the last day to RSVP for that.
correct. If you, and check your spam box. I know sometimes emails are going to spam when they send it out mass. Danny and then Linda.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Today was the last day.
Okay. Linda.
No, just going back, can we officially vote on this month's minutes next meeting?
I'm not understanding the question, so I'm sorry.
We didn't vote on the minutes.
We didn't vote on the minutes yet?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll get to it. Sorry. Yes. Okay, so everyone has a copy of the meeting minutes?
You have the corrected version now.
Okay, everyone has a copy of the corrected version of the meeting minutes now. So all those who are in favor, if you've had opportunity to look at it, all of those who are in favor of accepting the meeting minutes as
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So was there a motion? Crystal?
I thought you were moving.
Yeah, but there was, even if I'm moving, I can't move for myself, so someone
All
else.
right, it's
I make a motion
Tracy.
that
I
we
move
accept the
to
minutes.
accept them.
And so who seconds?
I second. Okay, good.
Margaret.
Margaret. All
Thank
those
you.
in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right. So post-primary actions. So as you may recall, in December, the state party voted to change the limits for the current central committee, which extends through December. So what that means is the primary happens. Whoever advances from the primary, meaning the new central committee members, they're going to be onboarded, but they'll get sworn in at that state meeting after the general in December.
Mhm.
So that means that the current central committee members are in term through that December meeting. And once those new folks are sworn in, they will, become the new central committee. Does everybody understand that? Any questions about that? Katie.
So I believe that for our election year, that the officers were elected before we were sworn in?
After.
After, all right, so,
First,
all right, so
then
we
the
keep,
election happened.
so
Yeah.
the officers of the Baltimore County Central Committee will remain in office till December when the new people are sworn in.
Mhm.
Yes. Linda.
Yeah. And part of the reason that was done is, let's say you're a first term elected person, and we're going to have lots of them this time. Let's say you're a first term elected person. By you not being sworn until December, but invited to attend our meetings in August,
Yeah, they will be.
September, October. By the time they're ready to elect officers, they'll have known each other for 4 months,
And the
which
work.
never happened before. Okay, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like an onboarding because of what happened in, was it Montgomery or Prince George's County, where like 85% turnover and new people came on, didn't know what to do. So this is to prevent against people not knowing what to do. So it's kind of like they're in training, so to speak. And so they'll come on, they'll still, they'll engage, they'll learn, and then they'll get sworn in, and then the elections will happen.
Yeah, they'll have had the experience of going through the election without being responsible for conducting the election.
I have a question. If the new central committee takes place, excuse me, this is Robert Benjamin. I don't have my photo up. If the new central committee takes office in December, when will the election of the officers of the central committee take place?
At the same month.
Mhm.
Well, hopefully MDP doesn't wait till like the week of Christmas. Like if they have it, I think they're gonna have it the first Saturday. It's not
Saturday in December.
December. And then
I'm sorry. I'm talking about the Baltimore County Central Committee, not the Democratic Party's.
No,
committee.
no, I'm making reference to that just for a frame of reference. So,
Okay.
so the state party will have their meeting first because they have to get sworn in, and then the election can happen after the swearing in. So the third, what is that? The third Tuesday of December, is that Christmas? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it can be at any time after that. Basically, they have to be sworn in first.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, even if we have.
reasonably it would happen in January.
Well, no, it can happen in December unless, the committee votes not to have a meeting, you know what I mean? In December, and votes not to do it.
If someone is elected,
That would be the 20th. Sorry.
if someone is elected in the primary and after observing for a month or 2 or 3 decides they want to run for elected office, is there, once they are sworn in, is there, can they start making phone calls to new members and et cetera, to lobby for their vote, or is there something that prevents that?
Well, they have to be sworn in first. So I think we have to start at that point. Like,
Well,
once
why do they have to be sworn in if member A, either a new member or re-elected member, calls member B and says, once we're sworn in, we're not going to have much time to campaign. I'd like to be, I just want you to know, I'd like to be president or vice president or whatever. Being sworn in does not prevent that.
Well, I mean, I think that's whatever, we typically determine the policy of what that's gonna be. It's customarily been, there's an announcement, then there's a period, but I mean, anybody can, definitely do that. There's nothing that says they couldn't do that.
Yeah, it's normally after we have our meeting,
Yeah,
and then, go for it.
But they don't have much time after the meeting, which
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but they're
Which-
going to be
which-
with us though. They'll be engaging. You see what I'm saying? They'll be engaged. It's not like
All right, so that engagement, if that engagement takes place of somebody coming up with of a slate of officers to run and decides to do that, before they're pending they're being sworn in, there's nothing that prevents that, right?
Except that we have to notify people who the nominees are and then vote on the nominees afterward.
No, I understand, but if A, B, and C say we want to run as a slate, and D, E, and F say we'll nominate you, and that takes place, that we're not asking for. They wouldn't be asking for the votes. They just want to communicate this. They just may
Wouldn't it
want.
be a problem if it's a new person, someone who is not reelected and coming in? I would think it'd be kind of overstepping your bounds if you weren't sworn in and not really elected, like you're not sworn in, but then you want to be the president or the vice president?
Well, why not? I mean, there's free speech in this country and free political speech. Why is it overstepping bounds?
Normally what we do.
Yeah.
is we have a meeting.
Also
we have a meeting. And then after the meeting, as Linda says, after the meeting, people say what they want to run for. But it's normally after the meeting. I know what you're saying, Bob, because how things are so much different. But that's normally how we've done it.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is if you wait till the first meeting, they don't have much time to quote unquote, and I use lowercase here because it's not really a big thing, campaign, and it gives a lot of power to the incumbents by default. And I should think that if someone sits through 3 or 4 meetings and says, I think I can do a better job and wants to run, I just want to make it clear that they can have these that there's nothing that's going to be raised as an objection if they start having conversations about the future of officers in the Central Committee.
I'll just say I've been on the Central Committee since 1978. And, I'm 86 years old, and I've seen it done many ways. I don't think we really need to worry about it tonight. And I think it's a good thing that
really don't see a
they're going to attend at least several monthly meetings before there is the election. And I think that'll take care of itself.
Well, there was an effort. I just looked at the full bylaws, although the bylaws that were sent out were just 1 page of amendments, on amendments. And having been on the bylaw committee, there was a discussion about limiting campaigning to the period between nomination and election, the election vote, which would be like a month at most, I'm guessing. And
I think it'll take care of itself. It's not a problem. People have the right to say if they want to do something.
Yeah, they can do whatever they want to do. Nobody's worried about what people want to do. If they want to do it, let them do it.
Well, I'm just raising it because there were people worried about it, Danny. There were people worried about it.
There are people with their hands up that are waiting to speak. I just want to remind all of that.
Yeah, you're right. Go ahead. Yes, you're right.
Yes, go ahead.
There were people worried about it, and it shook out. And the bylaw says that people who prospective, people may campaign. It was on affirmative, may campaign between the vote, nomination and the vote, which is only 20 or 30 days or whatever it's going to be. It doesn't rule out, quote, campaigning prior to nomination.
I agree with Senator Kelly. I think what happened the last time wasn't really, it was just the way it was happening and the way things were being done. I don't think people were really worrying about it. It's just the way all of that kind of turned out. It was a little ugliness to it. So I don't think we really care. It's just the way things were happening. That's all.
Yeah. The ugliness, in my humble view, was that a long-term member of the Central Committee kind of got drummed out of the committee and decided to quit rather than put up with it because he happened to mention he was interested in running for an office. So I
that's
want to
the
make sure that doesn't happen again.
get you the truth. We can have that, we can have a conversation so we can get to the truth of that, but that's not really what happened. And I would love for us, the committee, as people who believe in free speech, to sit down and talk like adults about what really happened.
Yeah, that's kind of shameful.
Yes.
Liz had her hand up. Liz.
Yeah. I think I was after Danielle. So if Danielle's finished,
okay. Go ahead.
I'm trying to remember what I was going to say because it was about something.
Oh, I thought you just said it. Okay.
No, it was something else that we were talking about, and then we came into this conversation, whatever we were talking about before, but it'll come back to me. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I just, I remembered that I don't have the bylaws in front of me. I know they sent out, it sounds like the amendment and not the.
Yeah, I'll send the whole thing to you.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think we'll all want to take a look. And I remember specifically that I think Bob has a good point. I remember specifically that we wanted to make sure that people weren't calling up everybody all spring or whatever. And so we had it very specifically, we kind of made some changes to that section. And I think it would be, I think Bob has a point that, if we're going to be sworn, we're going to wait until people are sworn. I think we just need to take a look at it and just kind of, have a common sense interpretation of the bylaws as applied to the, the December swearing in. It could be that people can, I don't know. I think that there's, as Senator Kelly, I think it'll work its way out, but I do think it is something that we don't want to wait too long to figure out the cadence of when those nominations get made and when people can actually start their politicking.
Can I
There's
hit
still
my hand?
free speech in America, and after all, we're Democrats. I would just say, why worry about it? People can talk to anybody else on the committee at any time to express what they're interested in.
I agree.
Right. Yeah.
I agree.
Can I say something? It wasn't about campaigning. It's just that if there is a opportunity to bring someone on to the Central Committee and that person is not yet a member, you can't be contacting them. That's where the rub was. The rub wasn't about contacting other Central Committee members. But if someone has not yet joined the Central Committee and they're being considered for the Central Committee and the vote has not taken place yet, and you're one of the people that's about to have the right to vote, whether they do or don't get on the Central Committee, please don't mess up by contacting that person. That's what you didn't understand, Bob. It wasn't about contacting people. Anyone, as Senator Kelly said, is free. Any of one of us is free to contact one another, but don't contact someone that's not yet on the Central Committee and you get to vote on them after you speak to them to find out their position.
What you're saying is that two people who were elected in the summer primary, person A can't contact person B. They're not on the committee to talk about becoming, hey, you and I should run for the officers.
No,
they're not on the committee.
Are elected. Those people are elected, Bob. I'm talking about people that weren't elected, that hadn't been elected at all, had no relationship to the Central Committee at all. That's where the problem was.
It's very clear what went down. So anyway, if those things, to stop those things from happening again, don't conduct yourself in that manner and there will be no issues, period.
Okay.
So I remember what I was going to say.
Oh, wait, hold on, guys. We have
some
people who had their hands up and they've been in order. Corey first, because he hasn't spoken yet, and then back to Katie.
I just want to say that we do have to address the, unless they were updated, but I'm looking at the copy, and the election of officers dictates that it's a meeting shall be called within 20 days after the primary election. So we just have to change that bylaw.
You got it, Corey. You got it.
Okay.
That's the second thing
So
for the
I'm
bylaws
gonna
committee.
I'm going to do some more research because as the treasurer, I can't leave and then have not know who the next treasurer is. I'm going to be leaving the committee. So I'm going to talk to the state to see how we can handle that. And, you know, perhaps there'd be some way that I could consult with the person who was elected in December, because the finances is just too important to be left to someone who doesn't know and who doesn't have the experience or the knowledge or any guidance. So, and I think that was part of why they wanted to bring in, you know, have the people come in June, and we bring them in meetings so that the officers, well, I was hoping that I would have someone that I could show them the ropes. So I'm going to talk to the state and see what's going on with that, and see, and also they should be able to tell us the date in December, because, you know, if it is, it needs to be before the third Tuesday of the month, you know, at least for them to be able to go and vote. Because if it isn't, they're not going to have any officers until January. So anyway, let me go to the state and see exactly, you know, how we can handle this. And, you know, and I'll get back to you about especially the important treasurer's job. Okay.
Thank you, Katie. All right. So,
is it okay for me to? So what I was talking about earlier is when we were talking about the trend, I thought one of the whole purposes of us waiting too was to do a transition period. So even those who get elected during the primary, they would more so like shadow and work with the person who is in that current position and get to know the background, familiarize themselves, and almost like an apprentice to find out. So by the time they will get sworn in, they already know what to do. And then those individuals, once we're sworn in, then we usually, that's when in our meeting, that's when we usually ask for the officers. And a lot of people bring people in from the floor. So as far as having the experience, I think that's one of the whole purposes of why we said we were going to wait until December, so that people won't just leave and then people will be left in the cold trying to take over a position that they don't have an inkling about what to do. So this way there's a transition period and you'll share what we know and what we're doing. So that's what I thought the whole process of that was about as well.
But that was a state issue, a state decision to have this happen, because of the folks who 85% that they were new. So, you know, they didn't want that to happen again. So it makes sense.
Exactly.
right. I believe Jason is coming in. Linda and Scott Sokol is here.
You said who else came in?
Jason and Scott is here, Scott Sokol.
Okay.
And welcome back, Scott.
Hello, Scott.
Welcome, Scott.
You there? Oh, there he is.
Okay.
He's muted.
Yeah, he's eating.
Not saying anything.
Okay.
All right. So, okay. So, so the next part, after the primary happens, and there are vacancies. So I'm going to unpack this. The vacancies that have to be filled are still going to be a part of that term that takes over in January. Does everybody understand that? Okay. If vacancies happen between now through December, okay, the individuals that fill those vacancies that for the current term, which is the new term that goes till December, are only filling it from that through December.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's use an example. So if like today someone leaves, right? And or well, let's just say the 19th, someone leaves by the 19th. Okay. Then from the 19th through December, the person that's being brought on is filling that term, and when that term expires, they expire. Does that make sense to everybody? That is how Eva explained it. Okay.
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Would it be possible? If the person was elected to that district, could you just let that person start early to fill a vacancy?
That seems like it would just be an option of the existing central committees to have that person start. It would be, but there would be this current member's choice, though.
Sure. Okay.
I would, sorry, I'm gonna put up my hand here.
Yes, go ahead, Jason.
Sorry. I would think we still need to follow the bylaws, but, you know, absent direction from the state that says, no, just appoint the ones who were just elected. I would think that we would probably still need to follow the bylaws no matter what.
Well, we got time. Why don't we?
Yeah,
go do the rest of the night's business, and you guys can do your research and report back next.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to,
all our marching orders is going to come down from the state. So we just have to follow their guidance and just adhere to it, and maybe amend it at our level if we need to.
I mean, it may make the most sense. I get that. But I think we need to be blessed with the state's permission. But yes, Senator Kelly is correct. We can worry about this later.
Yeah, no, yes.
That's a tomorrow problem.
No, but it's on the agenda. So that's why I wanted to, because, there was the questions that came up about that. So I wanted to make sure that everyone was clear about that. Okay. So let's move on to the Unity dinner nomination form. Okay. So with the Unity dinner, I put the link in the email, or Linda has the link in the email, to the Google form. So these are for the Unity dinner nominations. There will be regional awards. So there'll be the Central Committee Advocate Award. The link doesn't work again, Cheryl? This current link?
I wasn't able to get in on it.
What did it say? I probably have to change the setting.
It says
something about your email.
Need permission. Yep. This form can only be used by users in the owner's organization.
Oh, okay. I gotta change that link. Yeah, I'll go back and it's the button. I have to take off the secure email thing. Okay. So with the form, basically what it does is highlights. There'll be the Central Committee Advocate, and then there'll be regional advocates. So you'll see it listed, but it's basically somebody for every region in Baltimore County. So and then the organization award. So fill out the forms, get your nominations in. The voting will happen next month. Please get the nominations in by the 31st, so the ballot can be developed and be sent out. But the 31st, from now until the 31st, I'm going to we'll take the permissions off of that link before the end of this meeting. Also, if you're going to be nominating someone, can you please ask for their permission to be nominated? Because last time there were a couple of people that nominated that didn't want to be. So please ask for their permission and have them accept the fact that you're going to nominate them, and also obtain their good contact information, because last year we had some bad contact information and we didn't collect that on the form. So this time we're collecting that so that we can properly notify people that they have been nominated. And if you know the person, you of course let them know you're going to be nominating them, so that they'll, they had that heads up. And then we'll send out the ballot like last time via email, and give everyone an opportunity to vote at the meeting, but it'll be on the email ballot. But we will be having a hybrid meeting as well, so maybe we should also print forms too. Okay. Any questions about the nominations? Okay, so let's go to the reports. Fundraising first with Jason Unity Dinner.
All right. Not much to report. You know, we have the nominations, as Crystal just covered. We've started outreach to try to get a keynote speaker. The people who were identified early on were Senator Amy Klobuchar and, of course, Sherilyn Ifill. And I will not rest till we get her one day to be our keynote speaker. I'm coordinating with Dr. Tolson to try to evaluate the best way to go about doing it with Ms. Ifill. And that's where we are at the moment. We will need other speakers too at some point. So if you have suggestions for someone who would be an ideal speaker, but maybe not serve as the keynote speaker, but rather a featured spot, please let me know at your convenience. Thank you. That's it.
Any questions for Jason?
I answered everyone's questions at pairs.
Jason, any requests or needs in terms of help and support?
I could use a hammock. But aside from that, no.
Okay.
Not at the moment, at least. Obviously, we still need to do the whole ticket sales thing, you know, and whatever. And I have started that process by reaching out to some of the individuals about buying tables, sponsorships, but obviously I can't do that alone, and I know I won't be doing it alone. I know Katie will be involved. I'm sure Tracy will be involved, and Julie, and you know, because that's what they've indicated they will help certainly do. Danielle, of course, is always instrumental in doing outreach in this regard as well. And I'm trying to not list everybody here, so forgive me. But so if everyone can just do that, that is try to focus on who you could target to get tables, sponsorships, etc. That'd be great. Also sell and auction items. That's an ongoing thing, and you're going to hear about that through until September 22nd.
Is the payment link live yet? No. Okay. All right. We'll work on that.
All right, I'm sure I just corrected the form, so if you can try again. The payment link, Katie, I'm almost done. There's you remember that issue last year where somebody like bought it?
There was only one credit card.
I can't remember what that was. I want to make sure because there was something that was wrong on the form that I had to fix. I can't remember what it was.
So, yeah. Well, let me take we'll talk, but I can take a look at it too.
Okay, it's a draft in there, but it's we'll talk offline about that.
All right, I'll look at it too. All right.
Party building with Liz.
Yes, so let's see, phone banking efforts. Yeah, as I've mentioned before, you know, like once we get through our brews and whatever it's, or what are we calling in that? The brews and gubernatorial situation. Sorry, I don't know why I'm stumbling right now. But anyway, we want to start using Allegheny again. Maybe have some hybrid phone banks for just you know, voter registration and get out the vote and things like that. So we want to go ahead and kind of get June and July kind of scheduled for that. So be on the lookout. I think that Saturday afternoon early had worked well for virtual phone banks, and we could keep it going that way, you know, make it kind of like, if you want to be virtual, you can, but if you want to come back and have the camaraderie and the primary going on and that last minute, you know, preparation, I think that'll be a nice thing to have and a good way to, you know, to usher in when we will have the coordinated campaign in later on. So that's basically what I have for phone banking. I don't have specific dates quite yet, but we'll be getting those, and we'll be getting with the communications committee to, figure out getting the word out and posting things on the website and so forth.
Definitely. And question, are we doing postcarding? That was a question. I got a call about that today.
Are you talking about postcarding where people get together and write for candidates?
Or to the newly
Oh, yeah, that's a different one. That's actually still thank you for that question. That's still an outstanding agenda item for the party building committee to discuss. And so we will be doing that soon. I just got back from out of town and getting kind of reorganizing myself, but in the next week or so, we'll get that next committee meeting on. I think that sending postcards to newly registered voters is obviously great, but we had thought we might possibly do something a little bit different this time, see how that works. But we want to have a pretty thorough discussion before bringing it back to the full committee, I think. But you're right, that is something we need to get on pretty quickly. For some reason, June is right around the corner. I don't know how that happened, but yeah.
Thank you. Any questions for Lit? Oh, sorry, you're not done.
Yeah, and just to mention, in terms of the postcard gatherings where people write postcards, I think we generally have referred people who want to just, write their own postcards to some of the postcarding groups in the area. And I'm not really, actually, I guess Cheryl could speak to whether those are actively going on at the moment or what's happening, but that's basically what we had been doing in terms of people who want to write postcards,
So current postcarding efforts are all happening over Zoom still. But I was looking, so I was gonna talk to Vicky Vestridge, who is one of the admins for Indivisible Towson, about hosting in-person postcarding on Saturday afternoons, once in June, once in July, and once in August, in person at my apartment, but sponsored by Indivisible Towson. And it doesn't matter to me if it was like a co-sponsored event, because there's plenty of space. So Liz, since you've been here, I was thinking of the downstairs courtyard, not the upstairs one. Just because there's all those tables there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, as long as it's not raining.
Yeah, if it's raining, we're kind of screwed, but.
Yeah, I don't, I think the idea of us, it's the primary, we can't really work for a particular primary candidate in Baltimore County, but we could certainly, I think, participate in and encourage Democrats to write for, whether they're writing for someone in California or just where, just in general, like, hey, get active and participate in the primary in some way. So.
And I was also wondering the policy on people like Kathy Forbes, Michelle Guyton, Lydia Brown, who don't have a primary, but are going to be running against Republicans. Why can't we start helping them now?
I assume that's a question for Crystal, but it's a question I have as well.
It's just a question for everybody. Like, maybe we want to be phone banking for the candidates that don't have a primary, because
you got so many districts with different configurations. Maybe it's best that we don't officially. I think that's nice for any of us who has a good candidate we're working for, but I don't know as the party we would want to start to do that.
I mean, if they're running unopposed, they're running unopposed. It's just my feeling.
It would mean, well, okay, whatever.
And Linda has her hand up, but I'm done, so.
Linda, you're on mute, I think.
I had previously brought up the notion of us doing something at the Immigration and Naturalization site in Arbutus. I told you I did it once or twice with the League of Women Voters, and we had, like 25 people come in an hour. to sign up for voter registration. It's like a captured audience. And now, instead of forcing people to stand outside, which was during the heart of the COVID epidemic, they appear to now be willing to let people do it inside in their lobby. It's just that we have to do it on a formal way, let them know if we're going to do it on a regular basis or just once. And this is open to other groups, by the way, other groups that you may know, fraternities, sororities. They're looking for people, just like the League of Women Voters, to agree to come and do that. Now, everyone that comes as a new American is automatically given a voter registration card in their packet, along with some other materials. They may or may not know the significance of it at that point. By being right there after they've been sworn in, they're very anxious to do whatever it takes to be a new American citizen. And so it's a good time to speak with them and their relatives that may qualify. So I don't know whether we want to start doing that on a regular basis or other groups that are offshoots of groups that we have, but I think it needs to be done going into this primary election so that by November, people can vote.
Yes, Tracy. I think you're on mute, Tracy.
So the only thing, I'm sorry about this, is that it has to be nonpartisan.
That's why I said some of our groups that are offshoots of what we're doing. Some of our fraternities, sororities, other groups. It's right now, I don't think they would let us do it, but they certainly will let other groups do it.
Okay. Do you know when the next?
They do it, they swear people in twice a week. So, I mean, I can get the information for you.
Yeah, so we can, get it out to the groups that you just were mentioning. So communications.
Oh, is it all right if I say something regarding the party building?
Oh, go, yes.
I'm sorry. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you, Liz, that I've been trying to, say for a while now about us collaborating with other organizations. So there's an organization called Women of Color who's having a candidate forum on May the 23rd. And right now there are several other organizations that are partnering with them. And so I thought it would be a good idea for us to also, as a central committee, have a table there with information there as well. And some of the groups I've been mentioning for probably the last 4 years or so, a little more, are Black Girls Vote, Black Women for Positive Change, Women of Color, different organizations. And some of these people encompass some of the individuals that Linda was just talking about, part of the Divine Nine. A lot of us are going to have tables there, have your information there, and informing and educating, because right now with the midterms coming up, a lot of people are asking us what's going on. Why isn't anybody doing anything? The midterms are coming up and they don't know, have an inkling about what's happening, what's going on. So these groups of women decided we all going to get together and collaborate. And I thought this would be a great way for us to be a part of it and be a collaborator. And we wouldn't have to put out so much to do because it's something that's already in process. That's the whole purpose of collaborating with individuals, is being a part of it. And you can still take credit for things because all of you are still doing things and putting something in it together.
And that's at Owensville Library?
Yes. I sent you the flyer because we're going to have the 4 more Baltimore County table as well. And some of these other organizations. And I thought it would be great for us to have the central committee table there with all of the information that we have. And then each table could do voter registration, voter education, because people really want to know what's going on. A lot of people, although we think people know, people really don't know what the administration has already done, or for that matter of fact, what even some of our local elected officials are doing or have done. So it would be a great way. Sometimes we shut off some of these candidate forums, but people come there really to want to hear and know what's going on, but not just listen to, but be listened to.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think that sounds like a great idea if yeah, if Crystal thinks so. I mean, in terms of having a presence there, I mean, I think that sounds really great. I mean, from the party building perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I say wherever the Democrats can show up, let's show up.
Maybe I don't know if the fairs and festivals wants to spearhead that, or I mean, I'm
Well,
happy to help.
well, I'm certainly already going to be at the event. So
Yeah,
that,
it's already in place. It's basically already in place. If we want a table, I'll have it for us. All we have to do is make sure we have all of our information, whoever does the fairs and festivals, set up. If we can just have our table there with the banner and everyone's literature, anyone who's running for office, like they usually do, make sure they have everything there. I think would be great, because then people can pick up some of the literature and kind of get an idea of who people are and what their plans are, or either what they have already done.
well, are we about to move into fairs and festivals, or okay? So
I was going to, we'll swap. Yeah, go ahead.
okay, so I think that what we're talking about is a great thing, and we already had a couple of different events that were, I think, very well received. We participated in the Towson Town Festival. Raise your hand if you were one of the volunteers at the Towson Town Festival. A lot of people here were, including people whose hands you can't see because you can't see their faces, but tons of people were there. Even when it rained the second day, we had a great turnout and response. And then the very following week, we showed up despite the pouring rain right from the beginning on 2 Saturdays ago when the Reisterstown Blooming Arts Festival was held, and it had to be moved at the last minute indoors. People just were flexible, and they, moved a lot of equipment and so forth inside. The reason I bring up that is because it's great to say, let's participate in things, but we all have to know, because like Jason just was marvelous in giving up his, Sunday morning time with his family, and other people, Danny and Crystal and so forth, starting 6:30 in the morning. This requires a lot of time and effort to move stuff. And even if we have a lower presence, it still is a lot of shifting and moving things around. So I want us to be kind of judicious about which events we do participate in. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is I already gave you at the last meeting a list of different events that are coming up, fairs and festivals. One of the ones we didn't talk about in a whole lot of detail is the White Marsh Perry Hall one, which is coming up on July 19th, which is the day after several people are going to be involved in Juneteenth activities on the 18th of, no, this is July 19th. July 19th, and it's from 10 until 8 o'clock at night, okay? On July 4th, we have to make plans, and therefore I need people to tell me now and start sending, I'm gonna send out little schedules saying, please sign up for these shifts for covering the Dundalk Parade for July 4th and also the Catonsville Parade. So we're talking about those 3 events. The African American Heritage Fair comes up on September 17th. All right, so those are all things that we have traditionally participated in, except for this new one in White Marsh. But something that, because this is an election year and because it was so successful and well received the last time, I want us to start thinking about this as well. During the month of October, I would like that to be the month that we once again do as we did the last time, plan at least one motor voter motorcade per week Yeah, I'm gonna try to put us on that schedule again. At least 2 sine waves per week. All right, so some of you were part of all of that the last time for 4 straight weeks. Every week in October. Those were very well received. And a lot of our state officials came out and other people came out to join those sine waves and to ask to be part of the motorcades. And I'm really hoping that I'll have a whole lot more time on my hands come October to be able to do that. But before the primary election, I was thinking that for the 2 weeks before the primary election, that we have 1 motorcade per week and at least 1 to 2 sine waves. So altogether, that will be 6 motorcades and 2 plus 2 plus, so it'll be like 12 sine waves. Okay?
But in different parts of,
I think we can do it again.
Yeah.
So Linda, I'm sorry, with the motorcade, so I was on a call last night and the faith leaders wanted to know if we can collaborate with them to do a motorcade on June the 12th. So that's what I was calling about earlier today. The faith leaders, the national faith leaders want to know if we would on June the 12th do a motorcade and it would be a collaboration with them as well.
Mm-hmm. So our people, I think it's a good idea if we can collaborate with another group and increase our size. When we were over in Turner Station, I think we had 24, 25 vehicles. And then we did one with the Islamic community and it was at least 27 vehicles. We don't have to aim for really long ones. The person that helped us out so many times was some of the ones that we had on the east side was Danita Tolson. Do you remember that, Danita? She there? She's very helpful in getting.
She may not be here.
Okay, students from Coppin to assist in that and
She's
other
here.
people. So
Hello?
Yeah,
yes,
we
I was talking
There she
about the
is.
motorcades we had the last election cycle. We did in different locations. Remember that?
Yes, we did one with Aisha too.
Yes, that's what I said. We had a very long one through Aisha with the Islamic community. So are people interested or not interested in doing that again this time? Sine waves twice a week, 1 motorcade a week.
Yes, I'm great. I'm interested.
I see your hand, but anyone else?
Jason,
And we did, wait a minute, we did one and do you remember we did a couple over in your area?
Mm-hmm.
Can't hear you.
I've got somebody contacted me, wants to get more involved with the Democratic Party, and I could now doing sign waving for specific candidates.
This is specifically for the Democratic Party for during the primary election. But then when we are doing the ones throughout the month of October, it would be for specific candidates.
Yeah, I will probably be organizing sign waving for Robbie after that.
Okay.
So
all right.
In my area and see if we can get more. Boy, if anybody was at that meeting the Southwest had Democratic Club last night, that you were there, Linda, that was something, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that was
I wish
70 people.
But I wish I'd videotape, like take a picture of that girl, those 2 women that spoke about their rape. And I mean, it was incredible.
It was
I was
powerful.
here.
It was powerful.
Yeah, it was a very good meeting. Yeah.
It was a very
thank
good
you,
meeting.
Mark.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mark, for being a good organizer of that. Yeah.
Yeah, you had them coming in on time, and Johnny even. Did you notice Johnny stayed to listen to both Schellenberger and Robbie, which I thought was interesting.
Well, and what caught my ear is that the county executive said that, in my opinion, come the next county council election in 2026, we will have many more minorities and women running as candidates. Did anyone else hear him say that but me?
I don't know whether I believe it, that you can say a lot. Let's get these people elected, right?
You know, I'm just saying, when he said
out to the new district
that was a hint to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I may, oh, I'm sorry. There's a couple people with their hands up.
Go ahead, Mark, since they were, oh, I'm sorry. Are you responding to something they said?
If Mark is responding to something here, then I could wait.
Well, I was just going to say, it's a lot of work to do do a motorcade. I did one last year. One a week is more than I could do.
Oh,
I hope to
I
do
don't,
one, but I don't know about
No,
one.
no, I don't mean every person do one a week. I'm saying that as a body, oh, no. We actually did even more than that. The last time we had motorcades a week and all the rest of that. I'm saying that as a body, we organized somewhere in the county one motorcade a week.
I don't want to, I tried to organize that 3 motorcade that, Mark, you had terrific turnout with yours, and we tried to do what other side, Liz was in that one, and then
the one in Southwest was excellent.
Yeah. The one that was really good. I'm telling you, if you got those people out again, I want to know what the magic is, because that was great.
If I'll be brief, but a lot of it had to do with the voting rights voting right legislation that was up. That was very dispiriting when that got shot down. So we need to find another way to get them out.
And for the People Act as well.
Wait a minute, I can think of at least one cause that should bring them out that's going to be voted on only in November.
Or more.
Yeah, that's true.
We're working on that, huh, Linda?
That's right, always and ever.
We need more people, getting petitions.
Jason, you gonna go ahead?
I just want to say real quick, and I know that now this is probably ancient memory for everyone, but one, I want to thank Linda for the shout out to me with respect to the Town Festival, but really, I said this in the executive committee meeting, I'm going to say it here again. The person that really deserves thanks is Linda. She did a lot of heavy lifting, her and her daughter. I was there all Saturday afternoon and then Sunday morning just to help set up. And, they had put this together and did an amazing job under the circumstances, with sometimes having to deal with some no-shows here and there. But they did an amazing job, and we really need to give Linda a round of applause, frankly, for everything she did for that festival.
Yes, Linda's been amazing.
What I want to say, you gotta, when you talk the talk, you gotta walk the walk. All of us are Central Committee members, and when you know about these events ahead of time, you have to plan to attend so that we can be successful. I don't think anybody wants to get up 6:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, but when a call comes out, I make sure that I can attend those events in the morning. That's good for me. But we have 39, we have so many people on the Central Committee. It's a commitment. We made a commitment when we were elected to support the party. And, I'm not saying you can make all events, but it's gotta be within you to say, wow, I gotta do this. I hear about what Linda's doing, what Jason's doing, what others are doing. I'm on the Central Committee too. And I was elected to do this work. And you have to be committed. You gotta have some kind of, I just don't understand why, there's not as many people showing up for these events.
But also to support one another.
For one another. I mean, I see Crystal there, Jason there, Linda there. My point is that we can't make all the events, but it's enough of us to make at least one event here or there. Well, it's just not right. It's just not right.
I have my hand up. I support you 100%, Danny, and
Absolutely.
I think
and Ann is always there.
Oh, well, I don't know if I'm always there, but I get it. I wear a lot of hats, but I do think everybody, if you're on the committee, we talked at one point of annually, we're up for re-election. I think I'd like to know what everybody's been doing for the last year. If I haven't seen you, what I think there's an obligation to serve here and to be accountable. Absolutely. And if we don't see people, You know, there are a lot of people that do things. It doesn't mean they're out at the fairs and they're writing stuff. But they're, you know, organizing, they're doing things, they be here or there, but everybody should do something.
Exactly.
A couple times a year.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Just like Danny said, you know, you can't be everywhere and do everything, but at least do, you know, as much as you can. And like you just mentioned too, Anne, some people are behind the scenes doing things, you know, but it shouldn't have to be the same people all the time.
Amen. Amen.
The commitment.
Next.
All righty. George.
He's
Oh,
never
yes,
doing anything.
Communications.
Well,
Can you guys hear me?
Never see him.
Talking about somebody that's everywhere.
That's
George is
somebody that's
everywhere.
really yeah. everywhere.
Oh,
Well, yeah, let me
Yes,
get my
he
little,
is.
let me get my little 2 cents in. But like I
Where
always
is-
say, everybody has the same 24 hours. It's just what you do in there. And I want to just kind of echo what everybody has said. We all made a commitment, so you do what you can do. And but main thing is, like you say, do something. And just like in the communication, we have on our executive committee, on the communication subcommittee, we have some May, Danny, Katie, Jeff, and Ruben. Although all of us are communication folks. Now we go places, and there's been many affairs, and everybody has cell phones. I'm not saying you have to send in all your pictures you take, but at least take 1 or 2 with your cell phone, and then that way you can get them to us, and then we can post them. Because we try to get information around as quick as possible, but it's not like we're the only one with cameras. You guys have better phones than my camera. But so take a few pictures here and there with your phone and get them to us so that we can share them around. Also, coming up, we have that Burgers and Brews. We'll be pushing that down to gubernatorial candidate forum for May the 31st. You'll start seeing a lot of blasting probably next few hours on that, along with other activities that's coming up. So we just ask that when you guys get information, get the information to May, Danny, Katie, Jeff, Ruben, and myself, and we'll get it out. That's all I can do. And again, just everybody, I want to thank everybody for doing what they do, because like you said, we have a bunch of folks, and everybody's been doing good things. Some of us are early folks, some are late, but we all are there. So that's my little 2 cents. Back to you, Kristen.
All right. And the last report, and then we'll move to our guest speaker, Brooke Learman, running for comptroller, just entered the room. Danny, bylaws update.
All right, good evening, everybody. The bylaw update has to do with a membership, Article 5. That's going to have to be an amendment there. In Section 1, in the last sentence, it says each member shall be a registered Democrat and a resident of Baltimore County and of the legislative district from which the member has been elected or appointed. That should be senatorial district. So that is something that I'm going to write up, and we're going to present it to the committee for us to vote on it, so that we can make sure that this is correct in what we worked on. It was just an oversight and putting legislative as opposed to senatorial. And there's some other things that we're going to be working on too. I think Katie had sent something in regards to our financial committees and just trying to be proactive and make sure we have things in place so that we're going to be on top of all of the duties and things that we need to do to make sure that we're financially stable and correct within our language, within our bylaws as well. All right. Any questions?
No questions. All right. So I want to welcome our guest speaker to the stage, Delegate Brooke Learman.
Hello.
Hello. Yours.
Hi, everybody. It's great to see you. It's especially awesome to see Chairwoman Dolores Kelly looking good. It's great to see you. And also the little one who was just on, who just disappeared from my screen. Oh, there you are. Hello, Jason's daughter. Great to see you. Thank you, Crystal. It's great to be with all of you. If I look a little overdressed, I just was at the Baltimore County Bar Association dinner. So I ran out to be here. Scott, I'm glad you're home from the hospital. That's great. So really, thank you all so much for having me on tonight. It's a pleasure to be with you 63 days before primary day, but who's counting? Not my kids. And for those of you who don't know, I'm Brooke Learman. I am a state delegate representing District 46 in Baltimore. I am mom to 2 kids. I'm a disability and civil rights attorney, and I'm really thrilled to be running to serve you as your next state comptroller. You know, every election, we all say that it's the most important election. And I think this year is no different. I think this is the most important election in Maryland history, certainly in the past 100 years. And you all probably know this, but of course, this is the first time in almost 100 years where every statewide constitutional office is open on the ballot. And for the first time since 1998, we have an open seat for state comptroller. So I'm really thrilled to be running. Sort of 2 minutes about me. I grew up in Montgomery County in college, where I went to college in New Hampshire. I helped start a mentoring program working with children in public housing. And today that mentoring program that we started in college and turned into a nonprofit works with thousands of kids in 4 different states. I became an attorney because I loved being an advocate for people. And for over a decade now, I've represented people who need an advocate, really underdogs, unpaid low-wage workers. I've led on Fair Labor Standards Act cases. I have achieved nationwide victories for people with disabilities who just want a chance to reach their full potential. Achieved the largest settlement in Baltimore Police Department history, representing a wrongfully convicted gentleman. I've loved doing this work. But when I moved to Baltimore City, I also discovered that there were a lot of things that were really frustrating and that there were huge inequities. And I wanted to do more. And so I threw my hat in the ring to run for state delegate. And for the past 8 years, after a successful election, I have loved representing District 46, advocating for and organizing with the communities in my district. We've built 8 new schools in my district. I helped start a community development corporation, the Greater Baybrook Alliance, working in Brooklyn, Curtis Bay, and Brooklyn Park. I helped bring in World Central Kitchen to feed thousands of people during the pandemic. I've loved working with Amy at Dundalk Renaissance Corp to think about Bernie and the work that we can be doing to build out our region and do responsible community development. And statewide, I've loved working with your great delegates and senators, certainly Chair Kelly. For 5 years, I shared an office with now Senator Shelley Hettleman. So we like to joke that Office 311, which was our office, was where regionalism was born, as we were the city and the county. And I've loved helping lead on the Blueprint for Maryland's Future, on supporting small businesses, on environmental legislation to eliminate styrofoam. We're the first state in the country. I chair the Joint Committee on Pensions. For 8 years, have worked to ensure the solvency and to really reduce the fees that we pay to private equity firms so that our retirees have what they need. And I've loved working on transit. So I work very closely with many of your state delegates and state senators as well to start the Transit Caucus in the Maryland General Assembly to be an advocate on transit. And so because of all of this experience, I know and I understand that our state comptroller is just really uniquely situated to focus on the economic challenges that we have in the state, the income-based issues. And I'm really excited to bring a bold new vision to that office and the ability to get things done. So I won't talk for too long, but what I like to make sure that everybody walks away with after I've met them, just a really good understanding of what a comptroller is and what it can be. So I'm going to give you 3 things to remember about the comptroller's office. And then I hope you'll all go, tell everyone you know about the comptroller's race, because believe it or not everybody's talking about the comptroller's race these days. There seems to be some other races going on too. So 3 things. First and foremost, the comptroller, of course, is one of only 3 independently elected statewide offices, right? We've got governor, attorney general, comptroller. And so it's really essential, I believe, that we have statewide elected officials from our region, but also who can be a statewide voice and advocate on the major economic challenges that are facing our state, like the racial wealth divide, like how we're going to fund our public schools and the blueprint for Maryland's future, confronting the challenge of inflation and climate change, right? Really a statewide voice to bring people together to build more financially resilient families, right? And ensure that Maryland is a place where people, anybody can save to buy a home, where people can afford to retire and thrive. Number 2, the comptroller sits on a number of very important state boards, including the State Retirement and Pension Board and the Board of Public Works. So I've had the opportunity to sit on the Joint Committee on Pensions for the past 8 years. Our pension system is about $70 billion of investments for over 415,000 state retirees. Some of you are state retirees. Thank you for your service. When I entered the legislature about 8 years ago, I have to say that our pension was not in great shape. We were not funding the actuarially required amount every year. We were paying pretty outrageous fees to private investment firms, and there were some real challenges ahead. So I was happy to help with the effort to mandate full funding of our pension every year. And then I was part of the leadership that actually took a deep dive into the fees that we were paying and how to bring more of our investment in-house so that we could reduce the fees that we were paying to out-of-house investment firms. And I want to do more of that, making sure that our investments are safe and secure, and that we're thinking through the challenge of climate change. So this year, I led the effort to make Maryland the first state in the country to declare that climate change is investment risk, and that climate risk is investment risk, so that our pension system is safe, that we're thinking through moving away from fossil fuels and coal investments towards renewable energy, so that retirement is there, that promise that we made is there. And then there's the Board of Public Works, which I know you all know about, right? It is the governor, the treasurer, and the comptroller. And it really holds the power of the purse in the state of Maryland. I'm a former appropriations committee member, so I like to think that we held it, but really at the end of the day, it's the Board of Public Works. That's where the rubber meets the road. And all of this federal money that's coming in, more than we've ever gotten since the New Deal, we have one opportunity to make sure that we spend that money in a way that truly changes lives, that really builds generational wealth, closes the racial wealth divide, and that makes sure that we're building responsibly and sustainably for generations. And we have to do that through the Board of Public Works. So what does that mean? It means, okay, we're getting all this money. Really great to build a new school. We need new schools in Baltimore County. Your population is surging. Your great county executive, whose support I'm proud to have, he and our great speaker, Speaker Jones, I know you're all working really hard to build new public schools, but that's not enough.
That's right.
It's not enough to build a great new public school. We have to make sure that the people who are building that school are getting contracts, are here in Maryland. The other day I met a great Black woman architect, and she has her own architecture firm. She should be designing that school, right? We can't waive our MBE requirements. We should be building that school with labor, right? With good union labor to ensure that our tax dollars are going to pay good wages. And we need to make sure that that school is not in a floodplain, right? Maybe it's a net zero school or has solar panels on top. So our kids and our grandkids aren't saying, Mom, Dad, why didn't you spend that money responsibly while you had the chance? That's what best value looks like. And the Board of Public Works has to make sure that happens. And I'm excited to do that. And then the third job, the final job of the state comptroller that I'll mention tonight is, of course, I'm sorry to remind you all that I'm running to be your next state tax collector. or your tax refunder in a good year, right? But even there, it's really important that we ensure that people know what they owe, we make it easy to pay. And for those who can afford to and don't pay, make sure we enforce the law. So I'm a wage and hour attorney as well. And I've brought cases on behalf of low-wage workers whose employers aren't paying them. And every time I bring one of these cases, I think, if you're not paying your employees, you're not paying your taxes. And we in the comptroller's office, if I'm there, we are going to go after those companies and make sure that they pay. But likewise, the burden shouldn't be on our lowest income residents to claim credits, like the earned income tax credit with Senator Chair Kelly and the members of the General Assembly. Last year, we passed the largest expansion of the EITC in the country. But thousands of families don't know that it's owed to them. So we need to change that in the comptroller's office and ensure that we're present and proactive and that people are getting what they're owed. So I'll just close by saying, I think we are really facing a critical juncture in this state. We have some of the most prosperous communities in the country. But I also think we have far too many that really continue to suffer from poverty, from disinvestment, and from the effects of racial discrimination. And this is our time to get it right. So I'm ready to put the knowledge that I've gleaned, my understanding of this office to work, to partner with all of you. I'm really proud to have the support of so many of my colleagues in the General Assembly, County Executive Olszewski, Speaker Jones, and I'm excited to be an effective advocate working with all of you to make sure that we are bold and that we work together to build a better Maryland. So thanks so much for having me on, and I look forward to your questions. And I see one already. Danielle.
Hi, Brooke. How are you?
I'm good. Great to see you.
Awesome. You as well. I'm glad to see that you are out there all over the place. What I wanted to mention, so when I say I'm a voice for the voiceless, there are a lot of people who come to several of us and they have questions. They, because for fear of, Brian, come here, please, for fear of, being blackballed on their jobs or just a host of things. Yeah. Or some people feel that you're more accessible, they want to talk to you. So although we know we had a previous comptroller and now, people come out talking about all this money, all these programs, all these opportunities that they have. But what I'm hearing from a lot of individuals, then can they meet us where we are? How do we know about them? We know there's a broadband issue, but I know that the federal government has worked on something about broadband. Some people don't have computers. Some people don't have an inkling about how to fill out the application process. So is there something that you would have set up in place where maybe you can meet them at their churches, different centers, some of their specific organizations to come out and make sure that they get taught, even like with the SBA program at the federal level. There was a lot of money that was left over that a lot of underrepresented communities didn't get. So when this was shared with us, some of us were able to go out and say, look, you can do this and do that. Now, some people consider the source. They don't think you're doing it, but those that we were able to connect, they were able to get into the SBA and get monies and get started with their programs. So again, the whole thing is meeting people where they are and letting them know that all of these opportunities are available, because we take for granted that people know and that they're looking at things, but they don't. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a really important point. And actually, I led the effort to pass legislation to create the Office of Statewide Broadband, which brings, uses the federal money and supposed to be working with counties and municipalities to get money out to build out broadband. And actually 2 days ago, I sent a grant opportunity to the county executive's office and said, you should apply for this money for broadband. And Pat Murray said, oh, thank you. So it's a really important question, and it's central to my goal as a comptroller. One of the things that I'm most proud of as a legislator is that when my constituents need something, they call me. Because I show up and I get things done. I was just on the phone with Mike Middleton, the Cherry Hill community leader, this morning, talking about what's going on and how I can help, because he called me because he knew I'd pick up and I'd be there for him. So I really want to make the comptroller's office incredibly present and proactive. What does that mean? Well, one of the things it means is that there are all these offices that the comptroller has all over the state, 12 field offices, in fact. And I want those offices to be really involved in their communities. So reaching out to main streets, reaching out to church groups, reaching out to sororities and fraternities, to senior centers, to go to them and to say, here are the resources of the comptroller's office, right? Here's what we can do for you. Here's how to start a small business. Here's how to file your taxes. Like, oh, you have these other questions. Well, we can take those back and get you to the right place, right? I want the comptroller's office to be present in people's lives and to bring the resources of the office to them. So that is a truly central part of what I look forward to doing if I'm the next comptroller. So I really appreciate your question, because to me, being an effective government advocate means that people have to know who you are and how to get to you. And so my goal is to absolutely do that, right? To be accessible to everybody. So thank you for that, Danielle. Linda.
Yes. First of all, you have me very excited.
Thanks.
You have me very excited because you're a fellow New England college graduate.
Yeah.
Williams, first class of women.
Awesome. That's so cool. I didn't know that before. Very
First class
cool.
of women at Williams College.
I cannot imagine being the first class of women. I salute you. I salute you.
It was tough. It was tough.
Wow.
You're saying a lot of interesting things, and also an economics major.
Great.
You're saying a lot of interesting things. I recall that there was a time when I went to someone that may currently be wearing that hat, and I asked them, what are we going to do about the turbine industry so that we can develop primacy in Maryland, in the turbine wind industry, on the Eastern Shore in particular?
Yep.
And the answer was, my vision is to develop it in the western part of Maryland on top of the mountains, which ironically is where Williamstown now has their wind turbines. But since we are along the shore, why not have done more sooner to develop it there? Secondly, what about the red line? Everyone's talking about the changes that are needed at Security Square Mall, but no one's talking about the fact that 15 years or so ago, there was supposed to be some federal enterprise money that was supposed to have gone into that part of Baltimore County. And there was also discussion of the red line. Are we or are we not going to have that brought back? I don't know. It needs to be re-examined, but I think that under your leadership, we can give fair hearing to it. The other thing is that in 2015, a decision was made that by 2025, just about all the jurisdictions in the state of Maryland would have weaned their way off of fossil fuels. And all the local jurisdictions, including Baltimore County, said that we would have a certain percentage. Initially, it was going to be 25%, then 50%. I don't see us moving as fast as we should to meeting those deadlines. No one's really pushing to make sure that the commitment that was made all those years ago by individual local governments are actually being achieved. Sure, yeah, you have electric school buses and all the rest of that, but the reality is you have to do more than just those kinds of things. We're talking about a much bigger initiative. You also talked about wage and hour and making sure that the workers that are working for the state of Maryland are actually in the state of Maryland. I'll go one step more than that. We have to make it known to everyone that wants to do business in Maryland, no matter what their ethnic background is, that the human relations laws and EEO laws that were put in place to protect racial groups apply to everyone. Even when new Americans come in, they must also hire across the board so that everyone has an equal opportunity at good employment jobs, not just people in one group, and not just I'm a new American, so those I've had people tell me this. I'm a new American, so those laws don't apply to me. That's a black thing and a white thing, and it doesn't apply to me. It applies to everyone. So if you could just touch base on any or all of those, I'd appreciate it.
That was a lot. So I'll just say, because I want other people's questions to come up too, absolutely those laws apply to everybody. The Red Line Advisory Council for the entire Red Line, it's actually when I first met Charles Sidnor. We were in the legislature because we worked on it together. And so I'm very pro Red Line. I helped start the transit caucus, as I said. And so certainly we'll be doing what I can to be an advocate for transit. I think it's essential for the whole Baltimore region to be better connected so that people don't have to rely on their cars, especially as we see gas prices increase and inflation. We don't want to, people shouldn't have to drive their car every day. They might need to drive their car sometimes, but we want to make it so that people can get around, live their lives, and not have to be so reliant on a car. That means we need reliable public transit. So, and then wind, absolutely, I'm a huge supporter. Offshore wind's essential. You can go on my website at brooklearman.com and go to my climate page, and you'll see there's a section about wind energy. So, and I've worked with Ørsted and US Wind to talk about, they're developing wind and now building turbines at Trade Point Atlantic. So it's really exciting and creating great jobs in Baltimore County. So I'm excited about wind energy and to be promoting it. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you. And by the way, Randallstown needs Main Street management just like Reisterstown does in the Glendon area.
Yeah, I'm a huge supporter of Main Streets. I have 3 certified Main Streets in my district. And think we should be massively expanding the program. I think it's incredibly helpful. It's done, it needs to be funded more, I will say. It's not great to just set up a Main Street and then make them fundraise their whole budget because they don't get a chance then to actually do a good job for the businesses. But I'm a big believer in Main Streets. Yep. Mark.
Yes, hi. I'm so glad to see you again. Affordable housing, obviously a very tough nationwide problem. Do you think there's anything within your perspective purview as comptroller that could be done to encourage either home ownership or even cheaper rent or anything particularly to help the people just getting started? It's got to be, as an old guy, I look back and think it's got to be really, really tough to get started and just find a place to live. So is there anything you think you can do about that?
Yeah, great question. So I have been on the Joint Committee to End Homelessness for the past 6 years and have worked really extensively on when I was on the Appropriations Committee, and now I'm on the Housing Committee on Environment and Transportation, which covers housing, on affordable housing issues. I helped Senator Will Smith and I, after 25 years, we were able to pass the HOME Act, which of course prohibits source of income discrimination. And I know you all in Baltimore County passed it right before the state did. So bravo to you for that. It's essential. And sort of funny aside, I was named after Senator Edward Brooke, the author of the Fair Housing Act. So, housing is important, right? I was born with it. So I grew up with a poster that said Brooke, U.S. Senator, in my bedroom from him. So we are facing a housing crisis in many ways. We simply don't have the affordable housing that's needed. And I think we need a lot of different solutions, right? Wages haven't kept up with housing prices increasing. We also have a lot of neighborhoods where the market doesn't work to redevelop homes. So in formerly redlined areas or some low-income census tracts where there's a lot of vacants, for instance, if a nonprofit developer wants to go in and redevelop a home, it costs more to make it habitable than you can sell it for. There's this appraisal gap, right? So Senator Antonio Hayes and I passed legislation last year to create a grant program through DHCD to help fund that appraisal gap so that developers could actually do the work and keep the prices of the homes low enough so that people in the communities could buy them, because we want to be creating more homeowners, not just renters. And I think similarly from the comptroller's office, one of the things that I'd like to do is really use the data of the office in a very sophisticated way so that we can analyze trends in housing. We can see, income taxes, property taxes, like we can see what's coming in, what's not, how different areas are doing versus not, and encourage investment using some of our funds. So one of the things that some other pension funds around the country do is they invest in community development opportunities that are that are making money. The Maryland Pension Fund doesn't do anything like that, but it's a really important opportunity. Like if we took 1% of our pension fund, or if we took less than 1% of our pension fund, that'd be $500 million that we could invest in community development and housing work. And so, I've loved working with Dundalk Renaissance, the Southeast CDC, the Cherry Hill CDC to do this kind of community development based housing work. And it's something that from the comptroller's office, I think I'm hopeful that we can do a lot more. So yeah, it's a very central part of what I'd like to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sure. I don't want to keep people on here forever, so I'm going to try to keep my answers short. Cheryl.
Hi, so I don't know much about the comptroller's office, but I know a lot about other state agencies. And what I see is that there are very, very high levels of turnover because state employees are underpaid, even compared to like county government employees. There seems to be like a mandatory number of open spots. There's way too much turnover, and so critical things like food stamps applications, it's not just unemployment, don't get processed in the legal amount of time that we have to have things processed by, because there just aren't enough state employees hired to be able to get the work done. And so I'm wondering, as comptroller, what the comptroller can do to make sure that state employees are paid a living wage and they're making enough that once they're trained, they'll stay, so that we don't have these gaps in services.
Thanks for that question. And certainly in the General Assembly, I think it's safe to say we've been incredibly frustrated at the understaffing in our agencies, because all of you, our constituents, suffer because of it. And our state employees do too, because we're asking them to do the jobs of 2 or 3 people. And I feel really strongly that we need to do more. I'm really proud to have the support of AFSCME, our state workers. And so certainly in the comptroller's office, which I would run, I feel very strongly that we need to have adequate staffing and we need to pay people what they're worth, right? It's how you build a great team. It's how you attract great talent. It's how you keep them. The comptroller's office is not only competing with county governments and county comptrollers and county tax collectors, it's also competing with the IRS, of course. And so it's really essential that we are able to write the pay scale in the comptroller's office so that we can have good people who can do the work. So I totally agree, Cheryl. As a member of the Appropriations Committee, at one point I was so frustrated with the Maryland Department of the Environment that I sectioned off money in their budget and instructed them that they weren't allowed to use any of this money that we'd sectioned off unless they used it to hire enforcement agents, because that was basically the extent of what the legislature could do. And Secretary Grumbles just didn't spend the money. He just didn't hire people, And so we sort of gave up. I mean, there's only so much you can do as a legislator.
So does the comptroller have any jurisdiction over other state agencies' pay scales, or only the comptroller's office?
Just the comptroller's office. Just the comptroller's office. So I guess what I would say is elections matter, and let's go elect a Democratic governor. So we have somebody who cares about state workers and cares about making the government work. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, we believe that government can work, that government can eliminate barriers and create opportunity. And our colleagues across the aisle, that is not what they believe. They want to make it as small as possible. So, Danny.
Hey, Brooke, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. what I wanted to ask you, kind of telling on what Cheryl said, that it was just a catastrophe during COVID for folks getting their unemployment payment checks and things of that nature. Is really, really bad. I don't know how much you're involved in it, but
we had more constituent calls and emails about unemployment in the, let's say, 2 years, maybe even a year and a half, than we had in my previous 6 years about every issue combined. I mean, to the point where like I wanted to get mental health like services for my staff because it was my one staff person, because it's so hard to hear these stories. They're so terrible. I mean, it was totally outrageous. Sorry to interrupt you. It was terrible.
No, that was just horrible.
Yeah.
My other question is, what would be when you become the controller after the general election, what are your priorities? When you get in there and you get in that office and you get sit in that desk, that chair, what's going to be your first priorities? What are you going to do?
Sure. Well, you want to hear the really unsexy thing that my first priority is going to be is to build a great team. Because we have to have a great team in the comptroller's office. Cheryl just said it too. You've got to have good people. So my number one priority is to build a great team, to talk to everybody in the office. There's 12 field offices around the state. There are 1,082 pins in the comptroller's office, like positions. So they're not nearly all full, but it's really to assess the office and to build a great team. And to set our priorities, right? And to decide what we're going to concentrate on first, second, third. But then almost immediately, I think we have to pivot and go from an assessment of the office and its technology capabilities to getting an RFP out the door to start modernizing. The back end of the comptroller systems are some of the oldest in the country. And so it means that we have very little flexibility and very little ability to analyze data. And so I really want to modernize the office, and not that Comptroller Franco hasn't done anything. He's that there's just more that we need to do. So I want to do that. And then also we need to do that and prepare ourselves for the federal money that's coming in. And we have to move quickly to do that so that we can put systems into place, hiring a racial equity officer, hiring a climate resilience champion, so that as the money is coming in, we are able to work with the agencies and process their requests in real time and understand whether they're truly, meeting their MBE requirements, doing the outreach that needs to do, identify barriers so that we can remove those barriers. Because the Board of Public Works doesn't just vote. The Board of Public Works writes all the regulations for procurement. And so it's it's not just a yes or no role. It has a role in making procurement work more fairly and more equitably in our state as well. So I'd say those are sort of some of the first, building the team, focusing on modernizing the office, and preparing to ensure equitable and responsible development of the money from the feds. So I hope that makes sense, but those are some of my top
makes
three.
sense. So give me a call. I'll put it in the chat for you.
Yeah, I will. I'm excited. I'll definitely give you a call.
Radio show Thursday, so give me a call.
I will. Thank you for the invite. Yes.
You got it.
Chair Kelly. I'm not used to calling on a chair. Usually she calls on us.
We're so glad that you're here. I'm just wondering if you are giving any thought to the need to replace the state office complex in the city of Baltimore, which is our major metropolitan area. We are right now moving people there. Everything is so decentralized. There's no one place that average citizens can go to deal with the various interests and concerns and things they need to apply for and so on, all in one location. And with the mass transit having been cut to the extent it has been, and even bus lanes, you can't drive in them unless you're making a right turn in many areas. We're making it almost impossible for average citizens to get served. I won't say more. I know you know the problem, but what's your thinking there?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, Chair Kelly. State Center really needs to be redeveloped. I mean, it's a shame on so many levels and such a waste of 8 years that we've had when we could have built by now a new space, which would benefit our state workers, but also be a huge benefit to the city. I think the state is one of the worst landlords in the city, to be honest. We don't pay property taxes, but then we also don't take care of our buildings. It's really abysmal. So I feel very strongly about the need to quickly come up with a new plan for State Center, to rebuild it, to make it, 21st century development, right? Mixed income, like mixed use, be a great place to work, be a transit hub. I feel very strongly about the need to redevelop State Center in a way that works for employees, that works for the communities around State Center, to make sure they're part of the conversation. And I think that's really important for our tax dollars as well. It makes sense for state workers to be in state offices. They just need to be in places where they can do their job well. And, I think we probably, one of the reasons that we're moving so many employees, I think, to downtown buildings is at the end of the day, Governor Hogan was looking at like a max exodus of workers. If after COVID and people getting to work at home, the agencies were going to force people to come back to unsafe, like unhealthy working conditions in State Center, even more people would have quit. So at least knowing that they are going to be going to new buildings that are nicer has kept some people, I think. But I agree. I mean, I feel really strongly we need to do important work there. So thanks for that question. It's important to have a voice for our region on the Board of Public Works at the end of the day, right? We need to have somebody who knows our neighborhoods, who knows that the Baltimore region has a subway line, one line, who's ridden the light rail, right? So I believe that very strongly, and I'm excited about it. So thank you. And it's really nice to see you. I feel like I didn't see you at all during session, so it's nice to see you now. Thank you all. I really appreciate it. I wanted to let you know before I go that we're doing one final pre-primary event, and I'd love to invite you all to join. It's going to be on June 7th from, I think, 6 to 7:30 at Gary Brewster's home in Cockeysville. So you're all welcome to join. Our county executive will be there and the speaker, and I know that Chair Kelly was invited, and there'll be a bunch of great people, and I just would love to invite you all to join us too. Hopefully we'll have nice weather. You're all more than welcome to attend. I hope I can earn your support. This is a competitive election. I'm working very hard to make sure we have the resources to win, to get my signs out. We're knocking on doors. Michael Outlaw, you can see him there, is one of my great field organizers. So just really appreciate all the work that you all do, and look forward to getting to the finish line and finishing strong. Thank you.
Let us know when we can all pick up our signs.
Oh, yes. Well, we have signs. We'll bring you signs. I'll bring you a sign. Thank you.
Some of us already have them.
There you go, Scott. Yes. You can always email me and put in a sign request. Yes. Or text me. Yeah. Perfect.
And Michael put a comment in the chat.
Oh, yes. You can comment, you can contact Michael or me, and we would love to bring you signs or have you volunteer. We're knocking on doors, we're texting, we're signing up people for early vote locations. So just let us know. When
we organize some of our car motorcades around the community, hopefully you can participate in some.
Yeah, thank you.
And sign waves.
Yeah, that sounds great. Just let us know.
Did Michael put his contact information in that chat? I didn't see it.
Here.
Yeah,
I can do it. It's
yes, let me, yes. 363.
Thank you all so much for having me. Crystal, thanks so much for your amazing leadership. You're awesome. Really appreciate you pulling this together.
Yes, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
And I'm about to put my email in right now.
Oh, I just did it for you.
Oh, okay. Oh,
because I was putting mine too.
oh, okay. Okay.
Great. Thank you all so much, everybody. Please keep in touch. Please drop us an email, or I also put in the chat, if you scroll up, and I'll repost it, a place that you can sign up to volunteer or help in any way. So I'll post that again too. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Take care.
Wow.
Bye.
Awesome. All right, so again, next meeting will be Anthony Brown and Katie O'Malley. Guest speakers that confirmed. All righty, well, there are no other items on the agenda, so if anybody would like to entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved.
All right, so
I
we'll
second
be back
that.
hybrid in June, no meeting
Okay.
July. And
July.
all right. Good night.
Okay.
Everybody take care.
Good
Have a
night.
great.
Okay.
Night, everybody.
Night.
Okay.
Good night.
Yeah, good night.
Night.
Night.